go!
All right, welcome to Teaching Crypto, a very special midweek edition. And yes, for the first time, I do have some glasses on, my effect of my injury here. MrFOMO, I might have to take the MrFOMO name on because, we pride ourselves on the show being transparent. And I got into a project at the very early part of the morning. I decided to FOMO in very briefly this week into one project that you love to talk about if you've been with us from the beginning, Atom and Cosmos. And right now it's sitting at 863. And you look at this 7-day chart, you might say, wait a minute, what are you doing here? You don't want to chase a pump. Well, here's the thing. We've seen Injective and Chainlink pump hard, and we've seen some of the other alts kind of lag behind. Now, this one is just starting to pick up steam. Now, if you remember, if you go back to the end of the last bull run, this one had started doing really well. So just to change perspectives here, and I just want to remind you, our viewers, that this is for entertainment purposes only. We're not financial advisors, so I would not necessarily run out and buy a bunch of Cosmos this second, but I know I go to the all-time charts and you see, okay, this is where we really are here. And this is really an established project over a 3 billion market cap. Now, even the yearly looks okay in terms of you're not buying at the top. However, monthly here, you are taking a bit of a risk because if we talked about a holiday regression here of Bitcoin between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You think it's happening before then. I think it's happening closer to Thanksgiving, maybe post-Thanksgiving. And so it is a bit of a risk because if you buy something now and Bitcoin does retrace significantly, you're going to be stuck on that project for a couple months if you're trying to flip that project. So I went in this morning. I am expecting, we'll see if I'm correct, I could have egg on my face, to push double digits here. Sometime this week, I'm expecting the price to hit 10 plus. And that would be where I would kind of, for entertainment purposes only, look to take some profits here. We used to do it for our new viewers, a quick flip show once a week and during the bull market. And this to me seems like a nice target because it's lagged behind other coins and the volume has slowly picked up the last 24 hours and the chart looks pretty good. So I'm in Cosmos, and we'll see if it pays off later in the week.
Well, I mean, you hit on. I tend to think that we're going to hit a holiday slump here. I mean, you saw the thumbnail that I created for the last show. I think we're all going to get a little bit of coal in our stockings through the holidays. But like I said, DCAing is probably the best approach to go here. And so if you think that the price is going to explode here in the next couple of weeks prior to that fall off, then, sure, you touched on timeframes, and that's a perfect way to approach crypto because there's a lot of volatility in this market. And so if you buy at 863 now and we take a dive through the holidays, you can DCA through the holidays,
Sure.
bring your average cost down, and then you're going to love. Yeah, I mean, not only what your average cost is when you come out of these holidays, if it dips that much, but you'd also love that 863 once we get into February, March, April, as we start to explode into the bull market, and then later in the year, 2024, you're going to be really happy with that 863. And so timeframes really are what you are really important when you're looking at investments. And, in the short term, yeah, maybe you have egg on your face on this one.
Could be. We'll see.
But in the long term, you're going to be extremely happy with your purchase price. But Cosmos is the internet of blockchains. There are so many things that are built on Cosmos. It's not just Cosmos, right? There are tons of other blockchains that are built on top of this, built with Cosmos. I just don't see this as a project that's ever going away. And you almost never hear anything really negative about Cosmos, right? Like you hear all these other projects, they have their fudders and they have their, they have their haters, but Cosmos is one that just kind of trudges along. People are like, yeah, Cosmos, that's a great chain. And nobody really hates on it as far as I can tell. And so it's one that I think you'll be really, really happy with no matter when you purchase it around these days, because during the bull run, it's going to be utilized by other blockchains. It's going to be speculated on by a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of money coming into this project. So, depending on your time frame, maybe in the next month you don't make money on it, but in the next year and a half, you're going to make.
Well, I'm going to explain my theory to you, Mr. FOMO, why I thought it was a great buy this morning. But before I do that, if you want more picks for us, please hit that like, that subscribe bell, notification, super chats are all available, stores open. If you guys could support us in any way, even just by just hitting that like button and sharing, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. And we've hit on some injective chain link recently, so hopefully I'm going to be 3 for 3 here. So, Mr. FOMO, let me explain my theory here. And we both agree there's going to be a holiday retrace. Now, I think it's going to be later than you do. I think it's going to be closer to post-Thanksgiving. But right now, what I'm seeing is Bitcoin is stabilized around 35K, and the alts are running. A lot of the money that was in Bitcoin have not been put in the alts. So this is like a very, how do I put this? Remember we used to talk about a super cycle and never happened with the alts? This is like a baby infant super cycle. We've seen injective and Chainlink blow up. And by the way, I don't think Chainlink's done, even though I took profits already. Remember, you can never time the top. So what I'm thinking here, Mr. FOMO, is other coins that are established that have not quite run the same way are going to get some infusion. And I like the fact that the daily volume has gone up. Now, market cap is 3 billion. It's not tiny or anything like that. But I like the fact that money is just starting to come in over the last 24 hours. And so what I think is going to happen over the next 3 to 4 days, not financial advice, is Cosmos is due for a run back into the double digits. And I'm just trying to take advantage of that in the short term. Now, you're right. If we have a Bitcoin retrace today and we go back to 33K, the alts are going to bleed. And the buy is going to look pretty bad, right? Because it's going to probably retrace into the sevens. And then you're talking about DCAing for several months, being patient, and then collect, and then taking profits later in 2024. So there's risk. There's always risk involved. And obviously, even though this is entertainment purposes only, never invest more than you can afford. We've said that a million times. But at the same time, you've talked about this. If your research tells you that you think there's a short-term gain to be made, then it. And we are on the upswing right now. I do still think the alts are healthy, at least for this week. I'm not haven't made a decision about next week, but I think we're okay. Now, I do agree December could be choppy for sure, but I do.
Yeah, I
think
mean, we looked at the history. We looked at the charts for November and December, and they're historically, especially the last 5 years, they've been pretty ugly. Outside of the 1 year, 4 out of the 5 years, and then you have the bull run year where it was green in those months. And
well,
so,
remember the year before, but remember though, 2020, November was the right before the last halving. November was kind to both Bitcoin and altcoins, and so that's what. And so that I'm thinking we do have a retrace, but like I said, I think it's going to be, you're going to see the ugly retrace more closer to into December than right now. And again, there's risk. Obviously the best time to buy, if you wanted to buy Cosmos, was when it was at $7, because right now you're already taking profits. But I guess that's why I said I might call myself FOMO here, because I'm trying to. I've already, taken profits of Chainlink. I'm trying to wet my beak one more time before the before everything dries up here in the next, who knows, next 4, 5, 6 weeks. But we'll see. We'll see.
We talked about timeframes, and so a shorter time frame, as long as you're putting in a little bit more money, shorter timeframes and smaller percentages work out. So timeframes are also important in that way too. So if you put in a significant amount and you get a small percentage, well, that could be worth your while as well. And so it just depends the time frame, how much you're willing to risk. And we talked about, how it's going to dip during the holidays. And you hear a lot of people talking about, I'm going to talk about crypto at the Thanksgiving table. I don't plan on talking about my politics or my crypto at the Thanksgiving table. Let's just put it that way. I have a feeling that by the time we all sit down for that meal, whatever you eat, you're not going to want to bring it up, at least not in the short term. And so people love to, especially when they know you're in crypto, they love to come at you when it's on a downturn. And I think that's what you might be seeing. You may be seeing a little
Unless
bit
an
of a
ETF is
downturn.
approved.
Right.
Unless an ETF
Right.
is approved.
That's if that's approved, then all bets are off. But
Yeah.
you might be seeing a little bit of a downturn there. You might have your haters might have a little bit of weapons for you. So it might not be a good idea to talk about your politics or your money at the Thanksgiving Day table. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But that being said, I don't think it can fall too far. Maybe I'll do a video on Bollinger Bands later in the week. I couldn't find a good chart before the show, but the Bollinger Band is somewhere around 30,000 right now. And remember, that was a level where we coiled up for a long time. So I think that if we do fall, we'd only fall back to about 30,000 or somewhere around there, because that level is a huge level of strength. And, that Bollinger Band is just 2 standard deviations away from the moving average or the simple moving average. So we'll see.
Really quickly, one of our viewers asked about update with Voyager, and it's the 8th now. We still haven't had an update about mediation. So I'm growing a little pessimistic here. I really am. As the days in November go by, if they have something, they're going to announce it. So the longer this goes, Pickle, the more I think that unfortunately we might be going to trial. And that would be in 2024, and that would be a several month delay. You're talking about sometime mid to late 2024, so you would see a resolution here. Hope I'm wrong, Mr. FOMO. Maybe we get some good news right before Thanksgiving, but it's right now they've just told us until they have something. Oh, is something just hit?
I posted or I tried to post the link to the, you probably have to copy and paste that to your URL, but that is the wind down administrator's link to their court documents. And so what Stretto was doing for us, they have now allegedly recreated and posted on the Voyager website. And so that's a link to that there. That's also in the description if that doesn't work, because it looks like it formatted weird in the chat. And so if you look in the description below, it's also there just below the merch store.
I thought for a second there we had a live new update. I wanted to talk briefly about, before we talked about me FOMOing into a project, we were going to talk today about Cardano. Now, this is kind of an example of what Cardano does, and it doesn't always really necessitate a price increase. Recently, Cardano had a partnership with the IBS, which is the Inner Blockchain of Singapore, emphasizing the growing significance of blockchain education worldwide. It talks about Cardano being serious about improving blockchain comprehension. Here's the thing: Cardano has not done as well as some of the tokens the last couple of weeks. It's not done poorly, but hasn't had the action, let's say, like Chainlink has. Now, will it do something now, like I predict what happened with Cosmos? We'll see. But what is your take on Cardano right now, Mr. FOMO? Is that something that will be high on your list come the holidays when we do get our next dip?
It may be. Cardano is one of those ones, and this is one of those that, I mean, now that we're talking about it, I may go and FOMO in on it today. This is one of those ones that runs late and runs hard, right? During the last bull run, everything else would be running, and then there would be jokes about how Cardano was one of the best stable coins on the market because it was floating around $1. And so, and then all of a sudden it would go on like this 3x run, right? And it would be irrespective of what everything else was doing. Like it wouldn't follow anything else. It would just go on its own explosive run. And so even with that huge market cap, it can still do some damage because that community is so strong. As far as crypto communities are concerned, I think Cardano probably is maybe second to the Bitcoin maxis and that's it. The Cardano community is one of the strongest out there. It's without a doubt. And so with that kind of strength in numbers behind it, it has the potential to run at any time. You know, just on the fact that money starts flowing in, all those eyes are on it. All those eyes might start pumping in more money. But you're right; they do have these odd partnerships and these things that happen all the time that don't necessarily pump the price for speculators, but they are continuously working. They are continuously developing. They take the sort of scientific approach. They're not like Facebook where it's like move fast and break stuff. They're, you know, they write scientific papers, they test things, they make sure they work, and then they roll them out. I think recently they had a summit that didn't go over that well, and people were kind of saying that it was a disaster. But people, when you have that much love for you, you're going to have, you know, a small amount of hate as well. There are going to be your haters out there. And so I think that's maybe what that is. But this is one that if you bought it late, you could still see this thing. Like, I mean, Cardano on these weird explosions will go on like a 2 or 3x run, even with that market cap. So we could be talking about this next week at somewhere between 50 and 70 cents. Not that I think that it would go that high right now, not that I'm predicting that, but it could, just based on the way it's moved in past bull runs
That's a
and
great
the
point.
size of that great community.
Well, I didn't realize myself, the numbers are actually much better than I thought, 22% over the past month. So it has actually done pretty well.
Yeah, it's done pretty well, especially with that market cap.
You just haven't heard a lot about it, and that's why you tune into Teaching Crypto. We keep you updated because these are the older established coins. These are not the new kids on the block. So what I'm kind of noticing, and this is kind of a topic for another show, is they're running secondary, right? We saw Injective, and Chainlink's a little bit of a different issue because Chainlink, it's amazing how loud Chainlink is in Crypto X right now. It is just everyone and their mother is posting a Chainlink chart. So Chainlink's a bit of a different animal, but you've got the front runners, and then you've got on the back, you've got the Cardanos, right? And you've got the Cosmos we talked about. I like Cosmos because it hasn't done quite this just yet, and I think it will. But that's not bad at all, considering you know, you got to remember, you know, it wasn't that many weeks ago where Bitcoin was struggling and the alts were doing absolutely nothing. And so the big question right now is, will this mini alt run continue for much longer? I think we got another week in us. You are hesitant, although you just might have convinced yourself to buy Cardano. So
and remember, Cardano, one thing I want to mention to some viewers maybe new to the crypto space, Cardano's, you know, their head or lead developer, Charles Hoskinson, he was one of the developers of Ethereum. And so you're really talking about a crypto OG. And then when they're taking away that move fast and break stuff approach, I think that this will be a project that'll be around for a very long time. Size of the community, size of the market cap, the things that they keep developing, keep doing. I mean, you really can't knock them down.
All right. So we're looking at 35.3 right now for Bitcoin, holding steady. I think we're gonna kind of hold and for now, and we'll see. We'll see. Some people are predicting 36 to 40K this month. I'm not quite there. I don't think you are, Mr. FOMO. We got our big October pump, and now we're kind of steady in November. And it looks like right now, a lot of people are having fun trying to make money on the alts. And it's just a matter of how safe that is as we get deeper in November. But we'll keep you guys updated. We just did a Voyager update actually in Azir, and it wasn't a great, not bad news, but like we said, the longer we go into November without mediation news, the worse it looks. Just my opinion here, nothing official, but I think if we don't hear anything by Thanksgiving, I think you can kind of, you know, connect the dots and realize that mediation probably didn't work.
Yeah, Nazar, I posted the link below in the description. If you want to look down below where I have the link to the merch store, you can copy and paste that. And they've got all the court documents, even the most recent ones. And that's kind of what we're combing through. Most of it seems to be just sort of housekeeping.
Nothing about
paying this person, paying that person, you know, you paying this group of lawyers an exorbitant amount of money. So it's just stuff like that so far. So we'll keep an eye on it, and I'll take another look at it today so that we have the most up-to-date
Mr.
information.
FOMO, I'm now kind of aggravated before we go off the air. After this mediation and this court with Alameda FTX, after they settle whatever this thing needs to be the end. This is ridiculous. I don't want to hear about 3AC. I don't want to hear about going after third parties.
Put it to bed.
We're going to 2024. That stuff should have already taken. FTX has already done their callbacks.
And well, so I think that's what you see when you talk about these ad hoc expert, when we talk about the Hages and the way that they're paying out these people. Right now, it looks like they're just running court documents out there to say, all right, we're justifying paying these people. We're justifying paying these people. We're justifying paying these people. They're trying to squeeze out all of that wind down money so they don't have to turn around and cut a check to the creditors at the end of that, right? And so there's millions, over 100 million in that wind down, or was over 100 million in that wind down pot. And I think as you see things going through, they keep saying, well, there was an objection, so we had to do this, that, and the other. We had to pay this group for this. We had to pay this group for that. They're just making sure they soak up all of that wind down.
And they have the FTX. They have the FTX situation as an excuse. Once the FTX, and that always bothered me. Was there really motivation for them to get the mediation done quickly? Because once the FTX Alameda thing was over, they know people would be calling for them to end this. Because the 3AC thing is just a pipe dream, of pipe dreams.
We're not going to see anything from that. And this FTX thing, I mean, really, FTX offered us nothing in exchange. They gave us FTT tokens, and really, if anything out there was a fraud, it was those FTT tokens, because they didn't have anything backing it, right? Even the customer funds in that company were being traded away. And so we're looking at a mediation where we're fighting over, we gave you something with value and you gave us back nothing, and now we have to fight over that cash. And so even that doesn't make that much sense to me. It seems like another way for them to milk this a little bit longer and find a way to squeeze out even that 445 million that's supposed to be in a trust for us.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully we get good news at this point, because it's November 8th. Even if they announced a resolution, I wouldn't expect those checks until at the earliest January, unfortunately, of 2024. But still before the Bitcoin halving. So there you go. And then hopefully shows like this, and we'll try to lead the way, can put pressure on these guys to end this sometime in 2024. The earlier, the better. Get everyone what they can and put an end to it. So we got a big week coming up. We will check and see if I'm happy and high on Cosmos or down on Cosmos when you guys see us next. For MrFOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody.
See you.
Hit that subscribe button.